My little pear friend is here. Should we put him on and get him involved too? Isn't he adorable? Good morning from me and the pear. It is 9:07 a.m. day 0, May 31st. We are all waiting for the prompt to drop. And when I say we are all waiting, chat has the patience of a toddler at Disneyland who has just had a packet of Skittles. I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea where we're going. I have no idea what's going on. That's not necessarily connected to the readathon. I generally don't know what's happening anyway. But I have got some possibilities. I've got some potentials. I've got some stuff stuck in my head just in case they fit. All we know is that the letter Y is the first letter. Don't know if that's the first letter of the prompt. Don't know if that's the first letter of the city. Don't know if that's a red herring. Knowing Brie, I wouldn't put a whole lot of money on it not being a red herring. So, my entire bookshelf is over there. My UK Kindle is over here, and my German Kindle is over here. I've also got my Libby. I have also got my library account from home. I've got my library account from Berlin. I've got Scribd. I have got so many places that I can look for a book. This feels like the biggest indecision of all time. Also, I am relatively finished a book. And I now have to go almost an entire day without reading a whole thing. And I'm hosting reading sprints later, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing for those. I have a top 3, and I don't know if any of these are even going to fit in, but I have got a top 3. And let's see if any of these actually fit the prompt. Y could be a YA audience. So for that, I have got the book Thief. I haven't read this since 2017. It destroyed me emotionally. It is a little bit bigger, but I speed through this book. I speed run it. And I also feel like it's very interesting to read a book that is set in Germany while I live in Germany. So that's one option. I also have The Mothers by Brit Bennett. It's got a really colorful cover. I think it has every color of the rainbow on here in some way, shape, or form. I also have an audiobook of this from Libby. So if the prompt is a beautiful cover, if the prompt is a really colorful cover, if the prompt is like a rainbow flag, we're in. We've got that. Then I've also got Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. There's been a lot of whispers in the chat about multiple POVs. There's been a lot of whispers in the chat about multiple POVs, 1 POV, 3 POVs. This has got, I think, 12. So I think that will have sorted it. So let's see how that goes. I have got these 3 books here on my table. They're going to stay here for the rest of the day. Let's just see which one of these I need, if any. Oh well, you settle in to do a sprint, you get all kind of cozy, she drops some chaos. So we know where the first prompt is. We know that we are going to Toronto, and we know that we need to read a book that we haven't bought, which makes all 3 of the recommendations that I had this morning absolutely useless for this prompt, because I bought every single one of them. So I need to recalculate. I've got a couple of arcs that I was sent physically, but sadly, all of the contemporary or historical fiction ones that I've read them. And I've also got a couple of NetGalley arcs that I have really got to start paying attention to. So I think it's going to be something from NetGalley. The one that is really screaming out to me at the moment is I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. It's set in an office, and it is about a woman who has all of these, like, you are the most idiotic person I've ever met in the world thoughts, and puts them into the end of her emails when she's sending out an email to colleagues, and will highlight everything in white so that you don't actually see what the text says. Until one day she forgets to highlight everything, and everything that is in her mind goes straight out to every single person in the company. And I am so intrigued as to how that's going to go, and I'm really intrigued as to what that's going to be like. I really, really want to get this one read. And as I said that I was going to read it in the general fiction chat, a lot of people said to me, I've had my eye on that, I need you to tell me what it's like. So now I feel like I am being holden to do that. I will figure out the sightseeing prompt if and when I get I Hope This Finds You Well finished. As of right now, I've got about 10 hours left until the readathon can start. And I'm itching to get it done. I really want to get started, but I'm going to hold out. I'm going to be so good. I'm going to hold out until we're ready. And then I'm going to start I Hope This Finds You Well. I'm using my glasses to hold my hair back, so this doesn't look very professional. We're in the bathroom because we got to do the skincare again. It is coming on 10 a.m. on the morning of the 1st of June. It is day 1 of the readathon. I have picked my first book, and I did not do a single thing yesterday about anything because I had, and I am not kidding, the headache from hell. While everyone was in the Discord server and everyone was getting excited about starting the readathon and doing a big countdown, I was KO'd by about 10:30, which also meant that I woke up at about 6:15, 6:20, fresh as a fucking daisy, and I went absolutely ham on getting started with my book until I fell asleep again about 8:30. I started I Hope This Finds You Well. I got to about 10% in, and it is drama central. There is so much happening in this book. I would really liken it to Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, in that Jolene, the main character in this book, actually really does give me a really big Eleanor Oliphant vibe, in that she thinks everyone else in her office is completely insane, and she's very isolated from the rest of the world. And she spends a lot of her time when she's not at work basically drinking herself into oblivion so that she can forget what has happened while she's in work. It is a kind of an intense story because it's very intense to be in Jolene's head all the time. It's very engaging. I'm finding it really easy to read. I have to go out for the morning because I am meeting a friend. We're going to a bookshop. We're going to go get some coffee and we're going to have like a little look around the place. And I might pick up another book. I can't guarantee you that. I did pick up a book yesterday. It was The Husband by Holly Grasmadio, I think that's her name. I know that it was in Breeze TBR a couple of days ago, and I got so intrigued by the concept of it, in that a woman comes home and her husband is there in the kitchen, but she isn't married. And then the next day, husbands just keep multiplying and appearing out of nowhere. And I'm so intrigued by how that's going to be resolved and what's going to come from that. However, Duisman, which is the bookshop that we are going to, has a 10% sale on all English language books, like all international books and anything that's not in German. And I can't guarantee you that I'm going to come home hands hanging. Then in the evening, I'm going to go on to Breeze sprints for a little bit. The opening sprints are at 5 p.m. my time. Then I have some plans in the evening. I'm going to keep reading for as long as I can. And we're going to get as much of this book done as possible. I really want to give Team Genfic the best opening possibilities that we can have. Because I know what had happened last year about having so many punishments and so many times in last place. It's not something that I want to put the team through. So if we can get ourselves into a fairly comfortable position by the start of round 2, I think we'll be doing okay. Hello from the floor of my kitchen. I don't particularly feel like I'm getting up right now, and I've just lost a game of Tetris against my fridge, so I'm a little bit in a sulking mood. It is 10:30-ish on day 1 of the readathon, and I am having a relatively good day with this. I am about halfway through I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue, and this book has found me spectacularly. I am having such a good time with it. It's the kind of book that I went into with limited expectations. I'd heard a couple of people said it was really good. I'd heard a couple of like really vague but good reviews to say the kind of thing, if you'd enjoyed this, you'd really like this book. Oh, take a look up there, it's chaos. If you had enjoyed this book, you'd really enjoy this book. And I do agree with the similarities that they're giving. It really does give Eleanor Oliphant allergy. Jolene, the main character in this book, is so Eleanor Oliphant coded. At times I have to go back and check if I am reading the right book. But it's so intriguing. It is about a woman who works in an office and has all of these thoughts about her co-workers in her head, and she writes them into an email, but will cover the email over with white ink. So she will still tell her co-workers, I think you are an absolute fucking menace for heating up tuna baked pasta in the microwave and then parading it through the office, which we've all thought. We have all wanted to condemn someone to death for doing that. Let's be realistic. But she will put it into the email, and usually she will cover it over with white text so that nobody can actually see what her thoughts are, except that one day she forgets to do that. So she's put on this kind of like performance review. Her emails are going to be monitored for any like words that are flagging her up with HR. She also has to do some sensitivity training. So she has a guy from HR who's new come and sit with her for a couple of weeks and has to go through all of these documents with her and watch all of these videos with her and confirm that she's been watching them. Except that he's also accidentally given her access as an admin to everything. So she is now seeing emails that she shouldn't be seeing. She is seeing chats that she shouldn't be seeing. Huge GDPR mishap. If this was happening in Europe, it simply wouldn't be happening. But it's such an interesting take because she's seeing everything that these people are writing. She is seeing sex emails that I genuinely wish I had never read either. She is seeing people's innermost thoughts. She is seeing the lies that some of these people are telling to other colleagues or to family or to friends. She is seeing all of the kind of dirty tactics that people are using to get a promotion or to get her fired or to get a leg over somebody else in the promotion race. I am so invested in this. I really hope I'm going to be finished with this tomorrow. Not because I'm not having a good time with it, I'm having a really great time, but because I want to bank those points in so that I can move on and get some sightseeing done. Day 2 of the readathon is over, done, and dusted. For me, anyway, because I'm going to be going to bed quite soon. I'm in Toronto. I arrived earlier on this afternoon. I had an absolutely phenomenal time getting there. I know I said that last night. I know I said that this was a book that I was really, really enjoying, but oh my goodness, I enjoyed it so much more than I thought that I would. There were a couple of things that I kind of didn't love here. One of the big things that is sticking out to me that I didn't love is that the main character, Jolene, is half Persian, but there's no real reference to her Persian culture. And that is mainly because she doesn't associate with that side of her identity. She doesn't really have a great relationship with her mother, who is from Iran. She doesn't really like hanging out with her. She doesn't really like to associate with her Persian heritage. But I do think it would have just been a little bit nicer to have seen that side of her personality brought in a little bit more. Also, to actually see it in her name, because Jolene Smith doesn't really sound like a very Persian style name. But overall, I had such a good time with this. There were so many times I was reading this book and I just kept thinking, she's going to get found out now. Like, they're going to find out what's happening now. And it didn't happen for so long. And the way that it finally did happen was done really well. And for the topic that it was talking about, it was done so respectfully. I had such a great time with this book. If you're looking for something that's genuinely going to keep you on your toes, but doesn't necessarily have like a thriller or a murder vibe, I would definitely pick up I Hope This Finds You Well. Now that we are in Toronto, we're going to have a little look around the place. We're going to go and see the CN Tower and the other things that are in Toronto. I have got all 10 books of the Princess Diaries series by Meg Cabot on my German Kindle, and I am going to read as many of those as possible for a sightseeing prompt. I'm going to start with the Princess Diaries Volume 1, obviously, which was written in 2000, so that will hit the before 2001 prompt. I've also got a book for my ears. I have got Wannabe by Aisha Harris. This book is about a black woman who grew up in the 90s, very strong in millennial culture, and it's all about the kind of pop culture references that we would know and love as 90s children, but viewing it from the view of a person of colour. There's a lot of talk so far about representation of black people in culture. There's a lot of talk about reruns and reviewing things. There's a lot of talk about remaking classics. There's a lot of talk about Disney. There's not a whole lot of talk about the Spice Girls, which I would have thought there would have been much, much more of, considering the title of this book, but I'm having such a good time with it. I'm about 70 or so % of the way into it already, and I am having the time of my life. Me and Princess Mia are going to head to the Royal Bedchamber, and I will see you tomorrow. It is so darkly late because I am just about to go to bed, and then Brie was like, haha, bet you're fucking not. We've just been given our first detour. For the Toronto leg, we have to post a picture on social media of our current read and a pet. Now, I don't have any pets, but what I do have are the panda pals. A tidbit of information about Brie and I is that both of us are obsessed, and I mean genuinely and healthily obsessed, with red pandas. If you look through our Instagram conversations with one another, it is 80 to 90% sending each other reels of red pandas that we have seen on Instagram. So I have gotten all 3 of the panda pals. We've got Young over here on the right, Tails is here on the left-hand side. I don't have a name for the guy in the middle. So I actually need to name this little lunatic who keeps trying to fall over when I'm filming videos. That's why he lives on the couch. I posted a picture of the 3 panda pals, and I've also posted them with the Queen of Genovia, Her Royal Highness Amelia Minonette Thermopolis Rinaldi. And that is me done for the day. I promise you, this time I am done. You will see me in 2 seconds, but you will actually also see me tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on what happens. As you can tell by the fact that I'm wearing a Mayo jersey, I am going out on a little walkie walk. And I am hoping that when I come back, there hasn't been another piece of chaos dropped, because we've already had some chaos for the day. And I truly think that that's enough. Bree has informed us about this year's version of the Sabotage. So there was sabotaging last year, and that was all done between the teams, and you could take points from this person, and you could take points from this team, but it's so different this year. This year, the saboteurs are the producers. Each producer is going to be with a different team for each round. So you have 5 producers in total. There's 5 teams, as you can imagine. 1 team, 1 producer. And you'll get each producer twice, but they're not always here to help you. Sometimes they will be here to have their points added to your total score for the leg, and sometimes they will have their points taken away from your total for the leg, which doesn't particularly help us. So we have got our producer for this round. We know who it's going to be. We don't know if they're helping us or hindering us, because they don't know if they're helping us or hindering us. They will find out when we find out whether or not they have actually been helpful to us. And I am scared. I am really hopeful that they've been a help to us. I'm not going to tell you if they have or not, because I feel like that's going to put a big target on the general fiction back. But I am really hopeful that all of the work that has been put through is going to be of help. So while I'm on my silly little hot girl walk, I'm going to bring my headphones with me, and I am going to listen to Summer by Ali Smith. I am having a time with this book. I'm having a time with the series, to be quite honest. But I want to finish off the entire series. I've had it in my intentions to do so for the entire year. So I'm going to try and get this one done, get some points banked as a sightseeing book. I haven't decided which one it's going to fit into, because there's a couple that it's going to knock into. It is the 4th book in a series. It has a 1-word title. I've read this author before, so it could fit into a 5 or a 4 or a 1, or maybe even the 2 or 3 that I haven't looked at. But I'm going to go on my little silly little walk, and I'm going to get as much of this book as I can read. It's the morning of the 4th of June, and overnight, I think it was like 2:30 in the morning my time, we got the second city prompt. We're off to Buenos Aires, and for this one, we need to read a book that has exactly 2 points of view. So we want a dual POV. Not 3, not 12, not 6, 2. I have no ideas. That's a lie. I have some ideas, but I don't know how well they're going to work in. First one, I have messaged Margaret. She hasn't gotten back to me, but I think it might count, is The Duke and I, which is the first Bridgerton book. Now, I will say I have already read this one. I know a little bit about it. I know that there is a particular scene that a lot of people in here don't enjoy. That was the scene at which I gave up the last time. So it is about 70% or so of the way through the book, but I will start it all over again, because I have relatively no idea what's going on. I have forgotten quite a lot of it. I got this as a gift from a friend of mine. It arrived maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago by this stage, so it's going to be fairly swiftly on and off my TBR. Then we have the exact opposite. Something that's been lingering on there for 2 whole years is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Something that is intimidating me about this book is look how fucking big it is. I have to go to work over these days. Like, I have a full-time job that I need to do as well. But it's 540 something, 548, 49 pages. That could stack up quite a lot. It's also in our team genre. It's a historical fiction book. It is also written by an LGBT author, so we will get the full range of bonus points there. I can't find the audiobook of it for love nor money. That's what's intimidating me. It's because I know I can speed through the audiobook, but I can't find it. So I've got another quite lengthy audiobook that I could go for, and that is The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. Set in World War II, and I think that not only is it a dual narrative, but it's also a dual timeline where it goes from 1947 up to something like the 1980s or something like that. It's definitely set in two different times. I know that for certain. And it's also got a dual narrative. I looked that up, but I don't think it will fit the LGBT bonus. I'm gonna think about it while I'm having my morning coffee. I'm gonna have a little think about it, and I'll let you know when I get there. But anyway, we're in this very precarious setup, so I can tell you what I did today. And I actually did do some stuff. I decided what I was going to read. That was the first thing that I had to do. And I have been so bombarded with messages from people in the Gen Fiction chat telling me that I need to read Fingersmith by Sarah Waters because it is so good, because it gives you loads of bonuses, because it's got 500 and something pages. I cannot read a 500-page book in probably 3 days. I wish I could, but I don't have that kind of, like, I can't fight the distractions very well. I have a full-time job. Wednesdays and Thursdays of this week I'm quite busy. So I just knew that that wasn't going to be a possibility when it was turned out that I couldn't find the audiobook. But what I did find is the audiobook of The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. This is a historical fiction. This has got a dual POV, and it also does go back in time. So even if that was the prompt, I would be set and settled. It is about two women, Eve and Charlie. We first meet Eve in 1915. It is the middle of World War I. We also first meet Charlie in 1947. So it's just after the end of World War II. And these big global events have a huge impact on the lives of these two women. Eve is a spy for the British side, and she is pretty much going around and spying on the Germans and figuring out what it is that they're doing. And Charlie is in England with her mother. Charlie has fallen pregnant out of wedlock, and her mother has brought her to England to have an abortion. But Charlie has kind of got another reason to be in England. She wants to find out what happened to her cousin Rose. Her cousin is kind of suspected dead after a massive bombing in the town. Nobody has heard anything from her. She hasn't been pulled from the rubble, but Charlie is going to find out what her story is. So Charlie has matched up with Eve. She's escaped from her mother's plans. She's matched up with Eve to go and try and find out what Eve knows about Rose. Because somehow there is a connection between those two women that I have not yet figured out. I am about halfway through this book. I've got another half of it that I'm going to read in work tomorrow because I haven't got a lot of meetings. It's not going to be a very busy day. I know I can put my headphones in and I can kind of switch off and just do what I'm doing, which is a really nice benefit that my job gives me. It's really good for me that I can switch off while I'm at work, and that I can put an audiobook in, and that I can get those pages read while I'm working. I know that it's something that not everybody has. I know that there are a lot of people in the world who work in medical care or who work in jobs where they need to have their ears free all the time so that they can actually hear what their coworkers are saying. So I'm quite lucky that I have got the position where I can go and do that. So that's where we're going to go. Also, I am sightseeing with the Princess Diaries. I know I am not going to submit it before I get to Buenos Aires, so don't worry about that. But at present, I am 1% of the way into the book. But 33 pages. And the reason I'm 1% in is because this has got the entire 10-book run on my Kindle. So I have got all 10 books that I can pretty much sight through my whole way across the world with. I'm starting with the first one, obviously, and that is going to fit into a book that was published before 2001. I also have 2 audiobooks on the go. One is Summer by Ali Smith, and the other is Anybody Out There by Marion Keyes. Anybody Out There is going to fit in for all 5 vowels on the cover, and Summer is going to fit into the 4th in a series. I've done a lot of heavy sightseeing this round, so I really need to kind of even it out a little bit more. I think when I'm in Buenos Aires and on the way to the next city, when and wherever that may be, I need to even out my sightseeing a little bit more. I might go and dip into the smaller pots, maybe the 100s or the 200s. I'll see where I get along. I'll see what happens, but I have got those 2 books on the go, and we're going to see how we go from there. Hopefully, unlike today, when I wake up tomorrow, nothing will have happened. There won't be a sabotage. There won't be a shenanigan have dropped. There won't be a detour. There won't be something that I need to have got all of my sights on set with. Hopefully I can just sleep. Good morning. I am in my office. I am all on my own and I have nobody to talk to. So I'm going to talk to you guys. It's Thursday morning. It's day 6 of the Readathon, and yesterday we had a small chaos drop. It wasn't a prompt. It was another detour. This time we needed to share a shout out to some of our favourite indie bookshops. So I have gone with 5 of my favourite indie bookshops from around Berlin, from around Ireland, one that is online and that you can go and check out anytime that you are in Berlin or anytime that you are in Ireland, or if you like buying books online and you live in Ireland or in the EU. I don't know what's going to happen today. The last time that we had a detour drop, we also had the prompt drop within 20 to 24 hours. And that happened while I was dead asleep. So I'm really worried about what's going to happen. But I am safe. I have gotten to Buenos Aires. I have finished my audiobook yesterday. I said I had no meetings yesterday. I finished it all up. I had such a good time with this book. I went in with little to no expectations of what was going to actually happen with it, but I had such a good time. As for sightseeing, I'm about 70 pages into the first Princess Diaries book. Mia is chaotic as hell, but I love her for it. We've had a mention of one of my favourite characters in the entire series, and that is Tina Hakim-Baba. We deserve a book series about an adult Tina Hakim-Baba who has discovered romance novels, who is reading smut while she is working at the desk, who has an AO3 account. We deserve an adult book about Tina Hakim-Baba yesterday. I've also got a couple of other audiobooks that I'm going to be listening to. I have got some more meetings today that I didn't have yesterday. One of my meetings was rescheduled to today because the other person wasn't available. So I have got a little bit less time, but I've also got something happening this evening. One of my friends had her birthday on Monday, and we're all going out for a couple of drinks, and we're going out for some food to celebrate that this evening. So I might not have a whole lot of time, if there's something that drops, to catch up with it. But let's just see what happens. Let's see where we go. It is Friday morning, it is skincare time, and I have a feeling something's going to happen today, something big. I have a feeling something's going to happen. We might be going on the road, we might get like a completely new thing drop, but yesterday was silence, there was nothing, so something big's going to come, something big is coming, but I'm prepared for it, I'm ready. I have got my Buenos Aires book read, done, submitted. I've got my detour, done, pictured, submitted. I've got my sightseeing books, done, submitted. I'm ready, let's go. I have no idea where we're going. I have no idea what we're doing. I don't even know if we're going anywhere today. But I have to go to the library at some stage of the day, probably do it on my work break, because when I went to try and renew my library account on Monday, I didn't have all of the stuff that I needed with me. You need to have some proof that you live in Berlin to actually be part of their library system, which makes sense. So I need to go and renew my library account. I'm probably going to do that on my lunch break, and I will bring you with me, I promise, because my library slaps. My library's got a pretty good selection of English books. Then I'm going to come back. I've got sprints today at 6 p.m. my time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and I really hope she's not going to drop something while I'm on sprints, because my brain will not be able to compute talking with everyone on the stream and also doing whatever chaos has to be done. So let's see where we're going. Let's see what we're doing. I'm scared. I'm a little bit terrified. By the way, in case you want to know, because a lot of people are into skincare, this is what I use. It is the No. It's a brand based in Germany, but this is the all-in-one barrier cream. So it has strengthens the skin's barrier and improves the moisture levels, which I really need. My skin gets really dehydrated during the summer. And I also use this Balea Beauty Hyaluron. It's got a hyaluronic serum. I also use this. I have got a La Roche-Posay redness calmer, because I don't know if you can see it, but my entire cheeks under here, all red, naturally, has always been so. It's not sunburn. Then I also have this, which is almost out because I threw half of it down the sink. The Hypercam Too Faced Serum, also from No. I've also got the Hypercam moisturizer, just like that one. So when this runs out, I'm going to go into the moisturizer of this. But I have found those to be really great. They're cruelty-free, they are vegan, and they just do really good thing for my skin. So that is how I take care of my face. I've just gotten out of a meeting and Discord is going bananas. That can only mean one thing. We've had a drop. And also I got a message from Brie that she said, I want to see your reaction. And that is so ominous. Okay. I've got the video ready to go. I've got everything that I need. Let's see what happens. Let's see what's going on.
It's time to cross the Atlantic and head to Europe. Our first stop, Berlin, Germany. For today's route info, we are going to be discussing Berlin's transportation system, which is world-renowned for its efficiency, accessibility, and sustainability. At its heart lies an extensive network of trains, trams, buses, and bicycles that seamlessly connect the city's diverse neighborhoods. The backbone of Berlin's transportation system is the U-Bahn, or the subway, and the S-Bahn, which is the urban rail. These provide rapid and reliable service throughout the city and its outskirts. With over 170 stations and numerous intersecting lines, residents and visitors can easily navigate Berlin's sprawling landscape. Berlin's transportation system exemplifies the city's commitment to accessibility, environmental consciousness, and urban mobility. To get to Berlin, you will need to read a book with movement in the title. Feel free to get creative with this one.
Book with movement in the title. That one is tough. A book with movement in the title. So obviously you're talking about like run, jump, crawl. But in the description she said, feel free to be a little bit fluid with this. Stretch it a little bit. So I'm guessing that you could stretch it to include things like clap or punch. Things that don't necessarily involve movement, but are movements. I'm gonna need to look at this. I'll come back to you, but I need to look at this. We're back. It's been about 20 minutes, but we're back. I think I have an idea. Yesterday, so June the 6th, a book called Hits Different came out, and you can kind of say that you need to move your hand to hit something. And it is written by Lizzie Huxley-Jones and Tasha Ghouri, who is somebody that was on Love Island last year? Recently. I don't watch Love Island, so I'm not entirely sure when. But Tasha Ghouri is a deaf author. She was born deaf, but now wears a cochlear implant. And Lizzie Huxley-Jones is non-binary. I've already read their first book, Make You Mine, this Christmas, and I utterly fell in love with it. So I have got really high hopes that this book is going to be a good one. I got it from NetGalley, and as far as I am aware of this book, it is about a young dancer who is hard of hearing and who moves to Barcelona to make it as a dancer, and then things happen. And I think that she falls in love with somebody. Let's see how it goes. Let's just see how it goes. I'm excited to try it because I've heard some good things about it from previous reviews. I'm excited to try it. I've heard some really good things about it from early reviews. So let's just see how it goes. Let's see how we go. It's Friday evening. I think we're coming to the end of the first week of the entire readathon, and I gotta get to Berlin, which is weird, because I live here. But I have made a little bit of a swerve. I think I want to keep going with my bigger books thing. I've read a lot of books that are over about 400 pages, and I think I want to keep going. So I have got The Woman Who Stole My Life. Steal can be interpreted as a movement verb, because you have to actually physically steal things. You have to, like, put your hand out and take it to steal it. So The Woman Who Stole My Life by Marian Keyes. It is a very chunky 530 pages. It gets a genre bonus. And I love Marian Keyes books. This will read for me so quickly. And hopefully that will mean that by the time the next prompt drops, whenever the hell that may be, it gives me a really fighting chance of already being in Berlin, despite already being in Berlin. I'm going to keep going with Hits Different, and I'm going to use that maybe as a sightseeing book. I'm going to see how I'm feeling. I'm going to use this as a kind of like, almost a try a chapter thing. We'll figure out where we're going. Towards the end of the day, Brie and I were just like randomly talking, and I asked her if there was anything that I should let the people know about, and she said, yeah, there is. why don't you tell them a little bit about Face Off? So we know that Face Off is coming next weekend. We know that it's running from the 14th to the 16th, noon to noon Eastern Time. But we don't actually know what it is that's going to be happening until you listen to me, because I have a slight insight as to what's going to be happening. All I know is this. Last year, you picked your book by reading from a spinning wheel. This year, you gotta be able to hunt down your flight. How big is this goddamn airport that she's gonna have us running through? But that is all I know. I have given you all of the information that I have. Go forth, use this to the best of your ability, and get reading. I'll see you when you get to Berlin.